The Little Mermaid wasn't shy about showing the audience that King Triton had a tough side to him, but what they neglected to discuss was a dirty little secret of the king's that has come to light. During the musical number, The Daughter of Triton, Disney gave us a good look at all of Triton's daughters, and right away, it's easy to see that none of them really look like siblings. And after seeing what Ariel's mother looked like in other sources, they don't look much like her either. This has led fans to theorize that King Triton wasn't a very faithful king, and that he has deep-seated secrets in the form of 7 different baby mamas. Though she didn't appear other than being named in The Little Mermaid, Disney informed us that Triton's late wife was Athena, and that she was the mother of his 7 children. But after looking at Ariel's sisters, it's easy to see why fans all over the internet have begun to theorize that Athena was only their mother by title and title alone. In fact, the only child that is actually believed to belong to Athena is the Little Mermaid herself, Ariel. Beyond none of Triton's daughters looking the same, when Athena first appeared on screen in the 2008 animated movie The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginnings, it was practically like looking at an older version of Ariel. She looked exactly the same. That solidified to viewers that Ariel and Athena must have been biologically mother and daughter, but that still doesn't account for Triton's 6 other daughters. None of them had Athena's hair or facial features. Honestly, the most that they had in common with the queen was the fact that they were all mermaids. Other than that though, it's clear that Triton was keeping a deep secret from his family and likely the entire kingdom. The most likely scenario, according to the theory, is that Triton actually had a different mother for each of his daughters, but none of them knew about it. Triton would have kept this detail a secret, so that there wasn't ever any question over who was the rightful heir to the throne, and so that no one would question Athena as being the queen, which might have happened had the public known about Triton's potential mistresses. This would explain why each of his daughters, Aquata, Andrina, Arista, Atina, Adela, Alana, and Ariel, looked nothing alike. Atina, the eldest daughter, had light brown hair. Alana had black hair. Aquata has brown hair. Arista's hair was blonde. That's crazy. Adela had dark brown hair. Andrina was blonde. And then, of course, Ariel had the exact same hair that Athena was shown within the 2008 film. The differences don't end there, though. All of Triton's children have different looking facial features and even different colored fins as well, which would imply that their mothers all had different colored fins. Now, with each daughter being born looking different, it's hard not to wonder why Queen Athena didn't suspect Triton of swimming around on her. But there is a good chance that she did. In fact, Triton likely only kept this deep secret from the children themselves and perhaps the subjects. It's also important for this theory to realize that the topic of discussion is merpeople, which implies that their breeding habits would be much different from that of humans. That could help explain how Triton was able to father children with so many women without any of the children knowing about it. Honestly, if there was anything that the breeding habits of mermaids could be compared to, it would probably be fish when you consider what the majority of their anatomy would consist of. And if mermaids mate and breed like fish do, then it wouldn't have been too difficult for Triton to have had a bunch of babies with a bunch of different mermaids. When fish breed, it's through a process known as spawning. Spawning refers to the process in which female fish lay large clusters or clutches of eggs into the water. After the eggs have been laid, a male fish will then find the desired clutch and then go about his business and fertilize the eggs. And once all of that is said and done, a certain amount of time will pass and then a fish will hatch from the egg carrying a mixture of genes from both the male and female fish. In other words, Triton didn't technically have to sleep with any of these other mermaids and instead only had to find eggs belonging to mermaids that had the genetics that he desired his children to have. Yet somehow, Triton's secret seemed just as dirty as it did before, according to this theory. And if you're wondering why Triton would be the father of 7 children from 7 different mothers and only one belonged to his actual wife Athena, the answer is really simple. He was the king. All throughout history, one of the most important things to any king was to reinforce and extend their bloodline. This meant having as many children as possible, whether it be with their queen or with their mistresses. So it would be understandable for Triton to have had the same mindset. For the good of the kingdom, he had to ensure that he had as many heirs to the throne as possible for when the time came that he wasn't able to rule the throne anymore. A possible way this could have happened was if Triton somehow selectively chose only the mermaids with the best genetics within his kingdom, thus ensuring that he would always father the children with the best or most desired genetics. That would also explain why all of Ariel's sisters have such amazing voices, despite likely having different mothers than her. Triton most likely handpicked the mermaids based on their looks and how well they could sing, considering that music is such an important part of mermaid and siren lore. However, just because Triton chose a mermaid to breed with didn't make her the queen. In fact, with the way that spawning works, Triton technically only needed these other mermaids until they laid their eggs. He then literally kicked them out of his kingdom like he did to Ursula to ensure that the only true queen was his wife and Ariel's mother, Athena. The queen would end up taking the role of mother to all of Triton's children, despite whether or not they came from her eggs. But Triton would keep the origin of his children a secret from them and allow them to believe that they were all born from Athena. And that secret most likely had two purposes. The first purpose was to keep a clean image of himself, and the second was to keep Ariel safe. Being the only daughter of the king and queen, Ariel is technically the only princess in the kingdom who has a rightful claim to the throne, and should her siblings find out about that, it could lead to another Ursula situation with one of the siblings turning evil. No matter the purpose though, if the theory proves true, then Triton still made the decision to keep his children's mother's identities a secret. One thing the theory doesn't account for is where Triton would have gotten this idea, or where he picked up the concept of having multiple children with multiple women from. Well, as they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and it turns out that saying holds true for merpeople. The Little Mermaid on Broadway showed that Ursula and Triton were both the children of Poseidon, meaning that they were brother and sister. However, it was shown in The Little Mermaid 2: Return to the Sea that Ursula had another sister named Morgana. Here's the thing though, Morgana and Triton weren't related in the slightest, which means that Triton and Ursula both had different mothers. And if that's the case, it might simply be mermaid custom to have multiple children with various spouses. Or, at the very least, Triton saw his father having affairs and determined that this was simply how a king was supposed to live. This would only solidify the theory that Triton had a different mother for each of his 7 daughters. Now, the king likely handpicked his mistresses personally, and it could also be theorized that Triton chose the most desirable mermaid from each of the 7 seas, and decided to have a child with all of them. One of the most popular Little Mermaid theories on the internet is by far the 7 seas theory, and believe it or not, it actually works really well with the idea that Triton had a different mother for each one of his children. For those unfamiliar with the 7 seas theory, it's basically that King Triton chose to have 7 daughters, one for each of the 7 seas. The theory suggests that Aquata was named after the Coral Sea because of her shy personality, and Drina was named for the Caribbean Sea due to her carefree and wild personality. Then there was Arista, who was named after the White Sea, most likely because of her light hair color. Named after the Bering Sea, we have Athena. This was because Athena was the eldest child, and the Bering Sea is the largest sea in the world. Adela's bubbly personality and romantic spirit made her the perfect child to be named after the Mediterranean Sea. And Alana, much like Ariel, was named after the color of her hair, the Black Sea, and Ariel, the Red Sea. Now, if you combine the 7 seas theory with the theory that Triton had children with 7 different women, it actually makes a lot of sense. The best way for Triton to ensure that Atlantica had a presence in each part of the world and maintain definitive rule over the 7 seas would have been for Triton to have children from each of the seas. Much like royals in the real world, having a child or spouse from a different kingdom or part of the world often led to alliances and influence among varying kingdoms. In other words, it wouldn't be far-fetched to believe that King Triton made deals with specific mermaids across the 7 seas to ensure that he had a daughter from each one, and thus securing his spot as King of Atlantica and ruler of the 7 seas. And once he gained this influence, he didn't see any need to tell his children that they all had different mothers, and instead kept that secret to himself. What do you think about this theory? Did King Triton have daughters with multiple mermaids, or was he faithful to Athena? Make sure to let us know in the comments below.